I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and yes, you've probably already seen the HTC One X, but perhaps you're thinking, man, it's a little bit too big for me, or I don't like the form factor where there are 3 One devices, and I've got another one in the house right now. This is the HTC One S, and it's coming to T-Mobile at some point soon in the United States. This is the global version, and it packs a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor, a 4.3-inch Super AMOLED display, an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, and Android 4.0 with HTC Sense. It follows the same design schemes as the One X, but is in a little bit smaller package, and is coming obviously to T-Mobile instead of AT&T in the States. Is this the device for you, or perhaps you like the HTC One X? We'll find out and do a little bit more digging in the full review, but first, some love to Best Buy Mobile for hooking us up with phones just like this for use in our One Paw Bandit game that we give to you on the site. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you'll walk out working. They'll help you set up your email, your web, your contacts, your camera settings, your phone app, and more. So when you walk out the door, you're good to go at Best Buy Mobile. Let's take a look. HTC One S. Is this the one you've been waiting for? Are you looking for the HTC One X or even the HTC One V? We'll find out in the review, which starts right now. So you saw the HTC One X review on PhoneDog.com, and you're thinking, well, I don't like the screen, it's a little bit too big, or perhaps the device itself is just too large for your hands. Well, this is another option in HTC's One series. The HTC One S will be available soon on T-Mobile, and it's one of 3 devices announced at Mobile World Congress earlier in the year in Barcelona. The HTC One S is coming soon to T-Mobile in the United States. It's available now in select countries, Germany, a couple of other European countries, alongside the HTC One X. Now, specs-wise, it's not quite up to par, not as powerful as the HTC One X. It's kind of the flagship device in the series, but the One S can definitely hold its own in an Android fight. This thing is packing a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 processor. You can see it's pretty zippy when you run through the home screens, which was a concern I had because with the HTC One X, you're going to see the quad-core Tegra 3 version is coming to international markets, whereas on the AT&T side, you're getting the dual-core Snapdragon version. So my question was, is that Snapdragon processor going to be as powerful as the quad-core alternative that's available in European markets? And so far, the answer is yes. It performs pretty well. If this one's any indicator of what the One X is going to be like, hopefully it's going to work, and it's going to work pretty darn well. Now, there's an AT&T micro SIM card installed in this, rather. This is a European version of the device, though, so keep in mind you're going to see Edge in the Carolinas, at least, because Carolinas operate on 1900 megahertz 3G on AT&T, which this device did not have that band, so keep that in mind. Otherwise, 4.3-inch Super AMOLED display here. No HD display like we saw on the HTC One X, but it does pack an 8-megapixel camera with 1080p HD video recording, a 1,650 milliamp hour battery, a front-facing camera, and it's packing a similar design with HTC Sense version 4 and Android 4.0. So still running Ice Cream Sandwich alongside HTC's newest version of their user interface, version 4, and you can see pretty zippy, looks a little bit different as well. You're obviously seeing some elements of Ice Cream Sandwich here. You can see the color scheme's changed, you've got a settings shortcut, and there are a million different changes here, and we can try and go over those one by one. You've got some buttons down here, capacitive, back, home, and then of course your recent apps button, which I can show you. You can easily get rid of stuff and remove it that way. And then of course there's Gmail as well, and I can easily go back and forth on that. So some changes there, and of course some changes to the dock down here at the bottom. You'll see some differences there, and just in design as well. HTC is really focusing on this One series. This is kind of their hallmark series, at least for the first half of 2012. This is a gray one. It comes in black as well, if I remember right. Now the difference here between the HTC One X, this does remove and you can get into the micro SIM card slot. Of course the camera on the back as well, and you just pop that back on. So it's not a complete unibody cover like the HTC One X. It's still beautiful and has a nice metal to it, and of course has Beats audio support, and is a nice device. And actually, you know, personally, and I mentioned this at Mobile World Congress, I found that this one was a little bit more easy to use and fits well in the hand, or fits a little better in the hand than the HTC One X. That's something to keep in mind. But on the left side, your micro USB charging port. On the right side, you've got your volume rocker. On the front here, you've got your 3.5mm headphone jack, your power button, and then nothing at the bottom. But still kind of has a curved design to it. Fits well in the hand, although, and I'll talk about this more in part 2, with a 1,650 milliamp hour battery, can it hold its own? You know, it does have a smaller display, but can it make it through the day with moderate use? Now in the menu here, you'll see some changes as well, but you'll notice when you go from frequent to downloads, it doesn't have that same carousel effect that the HTC One X has. It's more of a slide form factor there. You can see it just goes from frequent to downloads as opposed to flipping back and forth. Now you'll notice the applications scroll from side to side now instead of up and down. They've kind of gone over to that Play Store shortcut, search shortcut, menu shortcut up here, because obviously there's no physical menu button anymore, so you'll see it in all the different applications, and HTC has done a pretty good job of standardizing it up here at the top, so that's a nice little touch as well. Out of the box, and keep in mind this is a European version, but out of the box you get 7 digital, Dropbox at least on this unit, Google Plus, HTC Hub, Latitude, Google Messenger as well. You get Movie Editor, mirror some HTC programs like that, Notes, PDF Viewer, Polaris Office, SoundHound, you get TuneIn Radio, and then of course you get Wi-Fi hotspot capabilities. Now we can come in here and take a look at settings, and forgive me while I pull this out really quickly and take a look here. Settings are in here, personal, you got your phone settings, and then you can see they're all organized, and it has that nice little effect there when you scroll down and you realize that it's reached the bottom, or when it realizes it reached the bottom rather. So that's a nice little touch. Widgets are different as well, and I'll show you the widget screen here. Let's say we're going to add a widget to an empty home screen. We'll press and hold, and you can see it brings up a whole new widget screen where you can see all your widgets, or you can organize those by calendar, by clock, by individual ones you've downloaded, and you can see which ones are HTC widgets, which ones are Android widgets. So you can come into calendar and see the different ones here, and you can either isolate those by just the Android widget, you can look at just the HTC ones, or you can go back to all widgets and scroll through like this, and of course you can search as well. Now you can see your 7 home screens up here, so a much different layout, to me much easier to deal with, much more organized, which I think is a nice touch there. And then of course you can scroll through apps and shortcuts, though again, you don't see the same carousel effect that you see on the HTC One X. We'll go back to widgets. Let's say, we're going to scroll through and we're going to find one that we really like. Let's go to let's find FriendStream, for example. How about, no, better yet, Gmail. Let's go ahead and put a Gmail widget. This is a Google widget, and we're going to do the inbox, 425 emails in the HaronBaker@gmail.com address. So you can see the widgets are customizable. At least the HTC ones aren't, but at least some of the Google ones are. So I can come in here and customize the size of this. I can make it full screen. I can make it a little bit smaller. It looks like I can't make it any smaller than that, but I can cut it down a little bit in terms of size and then click out of it when I'm done. Now this is a dynamic widget, meaning I can scroll up and down and access those emails. I can go in here, for example, and scroll back and forth and access those emails from the widget, which is a really nice touch. And of course you can see the Gmail interface has changed as well. I can see the email account, I can see my drafts, sent, starred, show all labels, and then down here, this is the only kind of gripe I have so far about some of the applications in Ice Cream Sandwich. I mean, obviously that's a new message, obviously that's search, but sometimes you can get into some of these other icons and kind of wonder what in the world are these. And of course, here's a sample of the inconsistency. You can see the menu buttons down here at the bottom instead of up top. So little things like that haven't been quite standardized in Ice Cream Sandwich just yet. Messages here and take a look, and much like the HTC One X, you got that black color scheme with some shortcuts up here. Search, compose, and then of course the menu where you can change some of the text messaging settings. So we'll go and compose. Same HTC keyboard that we saw on the One X here. It's different from previous HTC Sense keyboards, and you can see it's got a nice black color scheme with white letters, and of course, much like the One X, portrait to landscape transitions are nice and fast, and you get a nice little carousel transition effect there, which makes it seem a little bit faster than it actually is. So we'll come in here and say the Quick Brown Fox is happy to be alive this week. Quick Brown Fox is happy to be alive this week, and I have it set to small text, so you can see it's relatively small here, and you have your same attachment buttons where I can attach, and of course send as well, and then I can go up here to the 2 and I can add people that way, or click on menu. So you can change the system font by going into settings and to display, but I have it set on small by default. But still, very easy keyboard to type on. I feel like they've made some nice improvements in this version over previous versions of the HTC Sense keyboard. And then you do have this effect as well. We can come in here to English and get rid of all of these, and then we can come in here, scroll down, yada yada yada, and remove these, and then we can use the voice dictation. Let's try and use it. Let's do this. Come on. Took its sweet time on the One X too. Let's see here. Hi there, how are you today? And of course, it auto predicts it as I'm talking. And doesn't always do the best job, but still it's pretty functional. So not too bad. And of course you can hit done, and it waits for the results, and you can either delete stuff or keep it, and then of course you can see that it shows me that I've gone into 2 text messages, and of course my my number of characters as well. So it's got some nice features to it. In the menu you can come in here to settings as well and see some of the different text messaging settings. Let's take a look at the browser as well. I'm on Wi-Fi. I hate doing reviews on Wi-Fi, but because this is only operating on Edge on AT&T, I feel that it's kind of the fair way to do it. So we're going to go in here to phonedog.com and take a look at PhoneDog on this site. Now, obviously, go to PhoneDog. Oh, that is not PhoneDog. Let's go to phonedog.com. and take a look. Now, again, dual-core Snapdragon processor here as opposed to a quad-core NVIDIA Tegra 3 processor, and also you're dealing with a little bit smaller display. So where that display comes in really handy is obviously in media content, be it browsing YouTube, listening to music videos, whatever. You know, you want a device, you may want a device with a larger display. I think 4.3 inches is a great sweet spot for a lot of people, and you can see this thing is still very responsive throughout testing with a pretty, I'd say a pretty responsive pinch to zoom there. I can zoom in, take a look at some of the pictures. Now obviously, again, not an HD display, so it depends on the trade-off of features. You may like this one better because it has a better form factor. It's easier to fit in the pocket or in the hand. It's a little bit lighter weight. Or then perhaps you may like the HTC One X because it is a larger display. If you browse the web, that might be something that's more beneficial to you. So Phone Dog's there. You can see the menu here. I can view the desktop side. I can enable a flash player. I can go to separate tabs as well. And then I can see where I left off on PhoneDog.com. I can go to a new tab, and then I can come back to tabs and scroll right back and pick up where I left off on Phone Dog. So again, pretty responsive with the transition effects there, little to no lag there, and I'm not quite sure what's going on. It keeps trying to load up that advertisement, so let's go back to Phone Dog here and take a look, and then you can see scrolling, pretty easy and nice and fast. So again, pretty impressive speeds here despite having a dual-core Snapdragon processor as opposed to that quad-core processor in the global version of the HTC One X. So if that was a concern to you, at least based on my early testing, don't let it bother you.